The gaming world has been incredibly active lately. New details coming from the Assassin's Creed Hexe front, fresh leaks and rumors surrounding the next God of War game, and the latest developments being discussed about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. When all of this hits at once, a very clear picture starts to form about where the future of gaming is headed. In today's video, we're going to break down all of the recent updates in a clear and organized way. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to support the content. Let's begin. The final entry of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy has become one of the most anticipated projects in the gaming world. After the impressive success of Rebirth, all eyes have turned to Part 3. Even though Square Enix hasn't shared the official title, release date, or first trailer yet, both official statements and reliable leaks have given us an increasingly clear idea of what the game will look like. This video compiles all the information revealed so far, developer interviews, recent leaks, and everything in between. In interviews with both Forbes and Final Fantasy Union, series director Naoki Hamaguchi made Square Enix's biggest mandate absolutely clear. The final game must deliver the best experience possible, no exceptions. Since the trilogy is reaching its conclusion, the studio is aiming for a peak not only technically, but narratively and emotionally as well. Hamaguchi says that with Rebirth, they moved away from a classic linear JRPG structure towards something more open and free, and that this direction will continue even further in Part 3. The fact that the development team is currently working on Part 3 while simultaneously preparing the Switch 2 and Xbox versions of Remake Intergrade shows that the series is moving fully into a multi-platform future. Hamaguchi said they've heard the "we want to play it too" message from Xbox, PC, and Nintendo players for years, and now the goal is for Final Fantasy VII to launch on all platforms at the same time. This suggests that Part 3 may not feature a PlayStation-exclusive waiting period at launch. Responding to feedback about Rebirth's length and pacing, Hamaguchi made a very important statement: "We will improve the pacing, but we will not cut content." This means the final game will move with a smoother flow without sacrificing the richness of Rebirth's content. He also mentioned that he replayed Rebirth multiple times after launch and has been working specifically on narrative rhythm to increase immersion in the trilogy's finale. Recent Part 3 rumors point toward a massive expansion in content. According to these claims, Part 3 will include even more side stories than Rebirth. And it's not just the number of side quests, their structure is reportedly evolving. Longer, more cinematic, character-driven missions, and even decisions that directly influence party relationships. Many story arcs expanding on Tifa's past, Yuffie's connection to Wutai, and Barrett's post-Avalanche life are all expected to have a bigger presence. Another eye-catching rumor is a major expansion of the outfit and appearance system in Part 3. The regional costume approach we saw in a limited form in Rebirth is said to be much deeper in the final game. Each character is reportedly receiving multiple new outfits themed directly around the region they're visiting. Traditional warrior attire for Wutai, fun festival outfits for Gold Saucer, and even specialized stealth suits for infiltration missions are said to be in development. These outfits won't just be cosmetic. Rumors claim they may influence NPC reactions and unlock specific mini-games or quest options. That means character appearance could become a true gameplay layer rather than a purely visual feature. If true, Part 3 could offer some of the best role-playing mechanics in the trilogy, with outfit choices subtly affecting story flow for the first time. Rumors about world size are equally exciting. Rebirth already featured huge, diverse regions, but sources say Part 3's world will be even larger, denser, and more detailed. Naturally, this means more region-themed outfit sets, more side stories, and more visual variety for both the male and female characters. Aerith, Tifa, and Yuffie are rumored to take on completely different styles depending on the region. Cloud, Barrett, Red the 13, and Kate Sith are also said to be receiving new outfit sets, suggesting a visual peak in the final game. Some leaks even claim there may be automatic outfit transitions between regions, helping characters blend with the environment and deepening the sense of immersion. Finally, rumors about hidden cinematic scenes tied to regional outfits and story choices have stirred huge excitement within the community. These scenes, unlockable only through specific outfit combinations or critical side quest decisions, could dramatically increase replay value. If true, Part 3 wouldn't just be the emotional finale of the trilogy, it would also be its most content-rich entry. Alongside these rumors, official statements also reveal a very meticulous development process. Hamaguchi's emphasis on lighting and facial animation suggests far more powerful emotional scenes. Lighting plays a huge role in emotional expression, and we know that even the Switch 2 port is being optimized heavily to maintain quality. It's clear the team will push this even further in Part 3. Additionally, Square Enix aiming to launch Part 3 simultaneously across all platforms indicates that the game's technical design is shifting toward a more flexible framework. No forced PS5 exclusivity window and Xbox, PC, and possibly Switch 2 launch at the same time now seems increasingly likely. This would be a historic first for the Final Fantasy VII series and a major part of Square Enix's new multi-platform strategy. One of the community's biggest discussions revolves around the game's pacing. Rebirth was criticized by some players for its length, but Hamaguchi clarified that these criticisms were misunderstood. The team does not plan to cut content. Instead, they aim for better rhythm and flow. Considering the trilogy ends here, maintaining narrative density while delivering smooth pacing will be crucial. With expectations this high, it's no surprise Square Enix is taking risks in terms of content. Rumors that Part 3's side content is more cinematic, longer, and more meaningful suggest the final game is being designed not as a simple conclusion, but as a full-blown pinnacle experience. This approach may allow players to feel their favorite characters' development more deeply than ever. Since the fate of characters like Tifa, Aerith, Cloud, and the rest will be decided here, it's no surprise the team is working at such a detailed level. Some scenes are rumored to feature completely new animations, special music transitions, and outfit-dependent variations. This all points to Part 3 being technically and emotionally far more advanced than the previous two entries. There are also rumors that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 will have the trilogy's most complex character interaction system. Party relationships may evolve not only through dialogue, but through quest choices, outfit selection, and even small interactions during missions. This could offer players a much more personal storytelling experience. Dynamics like Aerith Tifa, Cloud Barrett, and Yuffie Red the 13 are all expected to deepen in ways we've never seen before. On the gameplay side, developers have reportedly paid close attention to Rebirth feedback. Combat speed, combo windows, and character switching are said to become smoother. Some battles might include mini buffs tied to regional outfits or minor advantages against certain enemy types, adding strategy without drifting into pay-to-win territory. Even more interesting are rumors that certain cinematics may change entirely based on player actions. For example, progressing stealthily during a boss fight could unlock a different cutscene, or having a high relationship level with a specific character may unlock a bonus cinematic. This structure could deliver a far more cinematic and reactive experience in the trilogy's final chapter. With world expansion also comes more minigames. After Gold Saucer's success in Rebirth, Part 3 is rumored to bring new races, new tournaments, and new special events. Some minigames may even be locked behind specific region-themed outfits, further tying the costume system into gameplay depth. With all this information combined, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is shaping up to be the largest entry in the trilogy technically, narratively, and content-wise. While an official release date hasn't been announced, both Hamaguchi's comments and Square Enix's insistence on delivering the best possible experience suggests the studio won't rush the final chapter. If both the leaks and the official statements hold true, Part 3 may not only be the highlight of the FF7 Remake trilogy, it could become one of the most unforgettable modern JRPGs ever made. Now, let's get to the news about the new God of War game. The fall of 2025 basically became a breaking point for the God of War universe. The debate that started in the first months of the year, which mythology will the new game take place in, exploded in October and November, focusing both the community and content creators on two distinct possibilities. On one side were the increasingly strong interpretations that Kratos' journey would move into ancient Egypt. On the other, the idea that a remaster project bringing the series back to its roots, the Greek era, would be revealed. These two parallel expectations turned the final months of 2025 into one of the most intense speculation periods the God of War series has seen in years. The biggest spark that ignited this speculation came from comments made by Kratos' voice actor at an event. When he took the stage, he started a striking sentence with, "If there's a sequel," and basically spoke about a project that hadn't been officially announced yet in a way that sounded almost like a confirmation. It didn't end there. He clearly expressed how much he personally wanted the new game to take place in ancient Egypt. He said that having previously played a role based on an Egyptian theme made him feel a special connection, and that such a story would create a feeling of closing the circle for him. However, the tone of his speech gave viewers the sense that he might have said something he wasn't supposed to. After that talk, a huge wave rippled through the community. The actor's mix of caution and excitement felt to many like more than just a personal wish. It felt like an unintentional hint about a project actually in development behind the scenes. Even though the new game had not been announced, the way he spoke about another game as if it were definitely coming strengthened the belief among players that the studio had already started working on it. Social media, forums, and comment sections quickly converged on one single question: is Egypt really going to be Kratos' next destination? The resurgence of an older leak throughout the fall also helped reinforce that question. Months earlier, a rumor had surfaced claiming that Kratos' new main weapon will be a curved Egyptian sword, and when that was combined with the October discussions, it became far more believable. The weapon was said to resemble a khopesh, a design specific to ancient Egypt, and people believed this wasn't just a decorative choice, but a sign that the combat system would be reshaped around an entirely new mythology. As a result, the Egypt theory created an expectation not just for a change of setting, but for a deep mechanical overhaul as well. Community reactions followed the same direction. In player polls, discussion threads, and comments, the most frequently expressed wish was for Kratos' next step to be Egypt. Arid deserts, volleys of pyramids, grand temples ruled by gods, and the potential of encountering figures like Anubis, Ra, and Sekhmet formed a cinematic vision of the future in fans' minds. Very quickly, the Egyptian option stopped being just a strong possibility and turned into a collectively embraced expectation within the community during those early weeks of fall. While the Egypt theory was dominant in the early weeks of fall, an unexpected development later in the month suddenly changed the entire picture. New leaks emerged pointing to a completely different project set in the series' roots, the ancient Greek era. When a number of screenshots hit the internet, rumors began that some environment designs from a previously canceled multiplayer God of War project might have been repurposed. These images featured Greek architecture, temple themes, and wide plazas, reminiscent of the classical period. That raised a new question among players. Is the studio bringing back the Greek era with modern technology? These images didn't just trigger nostalgia. They also strengthened the possibility that the studio had been working behind the scenes on a much more comprehensive Greek-era project. The quality of the supposedly leaked material made it feel like more than just a simple prototype. Many began to suggest these visuals could be used in a future remaster or a full remake. As a result, the debates that had been on a single track in October suddenly split in two. On one side, a brand new main game reaching into Egypt. On the other, a project that would bring back the Greek trilogy with a modern interpretation. By the time November rolled around, this second path started to look a lot more serious. Claims that a short gameplay demo or internal test build had leaked caused a huge stir in the community. In that supposed short build, it was said that the old games had been updated with modern control schemes and brought up to today's visual standards. This made it feel much more likely that the Greek era wasn't just a nostalgia project, but part of a genuine in-progress remaster or remake effort. By early November, the Greek-era front had become just as strong a topic of debate as the Egypt theory. At the same time, new information suggested the studio's creative focus might have been split across two different projects. A former executive's comments about a new IP with a very strong concept that the studio had worked on years earlier but later canceled indicated that Santa Monica was devoting time not just to God of War, but also to other creative experiments. This divided fans regarding how the studio might be allocating its energy. Some argued that the sheer volume of rumors about the main series proved the new game was in active development. Others believed the studio was restructuring its resources and placing more emphasis on modernizing past projects. From mid-November onward, the longing for the Greek era among the community became increasingly visible. Fan-made remastered scenes, recreated Hydra fights, and high-resolution depictions of Olympus attracted major attention. These pieces clearly showed how much the Greek era was missed while everyone waited for an official remaster. At the same time, comments like, "If the community can do this at this level, just imagine what an official studio version would look like," became more common. And so, two different expectations, a new main game set in Egypt and a grand remaster bringing back the Greek trilogy, settled in as the main discussion axis of fall 2025. As the final weeks of fall approached, the community was now following two separate paths at once. On one side, hints that Kratos would go to Egypt were forming a stronger and more coherent framework. On the other, the possibility of a modern reinterpretation of the Greek era was becoming more and more tangible. This dual flow led to a rare situation among players. There was both the excitement of a brand new beginning for the future and the possibility of finally resolving the longing for the past. As a result, debates moved beyond just what will the new game be, and shifted toward, could we actually be getting two projects at once? One of the biggest reasons that question grew stronger was the studio's history of running large-scale projects in parallel. During earlier game development cycles, it was known that teams had been divided to work on different systems simultaneously. The level of activity that fall suggested a similar scenario. One team might be building the core mechanics of the new game, while another team worked on adapting the old era to the new generation. This idea began to seem very logical to the community because the intensity of both the Egypt leaks and Greek remaster rumors had become too great to be explained by a single project. On the other hand, the Egypt scenario promised much more than just a change in setting. The emerging clues suggested that the new game's tone, atmosphere, and combat system would be built within a completely different cultural framework. Ancient Egypt's mythology centered on gods, rituals, beliefs about the afterlife, and the balance of chaos and order when combined with Kratos' story, pointed to a darker and more symbolic world. Shadowy tomb passages, temple interiors, and vast desert sequences were already taking on a cinematic identity in the imaginations of fans. This new aesthetic looked strong enough to reshape the overall tone of the series. The Greek front, however, carried a completely different emotional motivation. The expectation here wasn't a new story, but more of a tribute to the roots. Players wanted the series' classic era to be reborn with modern graphics, not just for nostalgia, but also so a new generation could experience Kratos' character development firsthand. Just imagining the tone, rhythm, and boss fights of the old games with today's technology created huge excitement in the community. For many fans, modernized versions of the original trilogy's epic battles alone would be enough to mark the beginning of an entirely new era. As those 2 months of 2025 went on, the common ground among the community's theories became increasingly clear. A new God of War game was almost certainly in development, and most believed it would likely take place in Egypt. At the same time, a large-scale modernization project for the Greek era was probably also on the studio's roadmap. Because of this, debates shifted away from which one is coming and toward which one will be announced first. In this way, the fall of 2025 became a period that opened doors to both the future and the past at the same time, creating one of the most intense anticipation atmospheres in the franchise's history. By the last weeks of November, expectations had reached such a level that almost no one in the community believed only a single project was on the way. The general consensus was that the studio was working simultaneously on a main game that would expand the series into a new mythology and a separate project that would bring back the Greek era. Every new piece of information feeding into both paths played a major role in reinforcing this idea. Clues about Egypt were forming an increasingly coherent narrative, while leaks tied to the Greek era were reaching a much more concrete level visually and technically. With that kind of dual momentum, there didn't seem to be any other reasonable explanation from the community's perspective. One of the most frequently discussed topics among fans during this period was how the studio would position these two projects. The new game, thought to be set in Egypt, was naturally seen as the main continuation of the series. This game was expected to both carry Kratos' personal journey into a new mythology and provide fresh clues about Atreus' fate. In contrast, the modernized Greek era was seen more as a tribute, a return to the roots, and an opportunity to reintroduce the old story to a new generation. The emotional weight of the two projects was also different. Egypt represented innovation and discovery. Greece represented nostalgia and legacy. Another hot topic inside the community was which order the studio would choose when announcing these two projects. Many people believed the remake project would be announced first and would serve as a bridge into the new main game. Others argued that the studio would do the opposite, reveal the new game first and then release the Greek-era project later to maintain the franchise's momentum. Both scenarios seemed reasonable to the community because each pointed to a strategy where the studio could build a bridge between the past and the future at the same time. Amid all these debates, the God of War brand rose to perhaps its strongest position ever in the eyes of players. After years of following a single continuous story, the universe now seemed to support two simultaneously possible directions. On one side, the possibility of Kratos confronting a completely different culture and pantheon. On the other, the chance to revisit the roots of the legend with modern technology. This dual expectation made the series feel fresh and exciting again, not only for new players, but also for longtime fans. In that sense, the fall of 2025 injected new energy into the brand. All of the leaks and statements we saw in the fall of 2025 showed that the future of God of War is no longer tied to a single path. Both the possibility of stepping into an entirely new mythology and the prospect of a grand return to the roots have turned into two powerful options that could keep the series alive for many years to come. Now let's move on to the Assassin's Creed Hexe news. Assassin's Creed codename Hexe stands at the center of the gaming world as the most mysterious and darkest project Ubisoft has developed in years. With Shadows now out, all eyes have turned to Hexe, because according to Ubisoft itself, this game will be the flagship that kicks off an entirely new era in the Assassin's Creed universe. Since the first reveal in 2022, we've only seen a 30-second teaser, but even that short clip managed to convey tones of horror, the occult, and historical thriller that the series had never truly explored before. Hexe looks like a project that's getting ready to completely flip the AC formula on its head. That's why both players and content creators are eagerly wondering what this game will bring. The atmosphere of the teaser is colder and more unsettling than anything we've seen in the AC universe before. The assassin symbol made of broken branches spinning over a fire, the ominous silence inside the forest, the sense of pressure that creeps in as the camera moves. It all signals a new tone. But what really makes the teaser interesting are the hidden symbols embedded in the visuals and the use of the occult script known as the alphabet of the Magi. When decoded, this alphabet reveals the message, "We work in the dark to serve the light," which both nods to the roots of the series and hints that the game will center on a clash between sacred, demonic, and shadowy forces. The Mephisto avenge the family message appearing in the inner circle indicates strong ties to German folklore, curses, and demon myths. All of this symbolic storytelling naturally leads players toward the era of the witch hunts. According to Bloomberg and other reliable sources, Hexe is set between the 16th and 17th centuries, during the peak of witch trials in Europe. This period is defined not only by its brutality, but also by a dark psychology in which people accused each other out of fear of magic, demons, curses, and the paranormal. In the gaming world, Hexe looks like it will be the first major title to bring that atmosphere of fear into the AC universe. The fact that Ubisoft is specifically interested in this era proves that it aims to deliver a much heavier, more tense, and more threatening experience than usual. The fact that Ubisoft Montreal is leading the project pushes expectations even higher. This isn't just the team behind Valhalla, Origins, and the Far Cry games. It's also the studio where the series was born. On top of that, creative direction is in the hands of Clint Hawking, known for experimental titles like Far Cry 2 and Watch Dogs Legion. Hawking's approach to game design is usually system-driven, risk-taking, challenging for the player, and focused on breaking established formulas. That tells us Hexe won't be an ordinary AC game. It'll likely be much more experimental, a project designed to unsettle and provoke thought. Ubisoft's own description of it as a game that will leave a permanent mark on the series shows just how big the creative vision is. The game's structure also appears poised to change the course of the series. As Mark Alexis Cote openly stated in an interview with IGN, Hexe will not be an RPG. That means the open-world, level-up, loot-heavy AC style we've had since Origins will be completely broken for the first time. No one knows exactly what a non-RPG AC will look like, but one strong possibility is this. In Hexe, Ubisoft may try something more linear, darker, more atmospheric, maybe even something leaning towards survival horror. The idea of controlling a character who is weak and under threat during the witch hunts, someone caught in a world of fear, naturally lends itself to gameplay focused on stealth, escape, psychological pressure, torture, suspicion, and paranoia. For that reason, it's almost a given that Hexe will be the darkest, most claustrophobic, and most different Assassin's Creed experience to date. Hexe's atmosphere will almost certainly draw not just from the era's darkness, but also from symbolic and occult layers. During the witch trials, oppression didn't come only from the church and the state. There were also rumors spreading among villagers, accusations of making pacts with the devil, neighbors turning on each other, and a constant fear of being accused of witchcraft at any moment. The Mephisto emphasis in the teaser shows that this is a modern reading of that fear. It signals a shift away from the series' usual scientific historical line into a more mystical and psychological direction. Of course, in the Assassin's Creed universe, there is no real magic, but Isu technologies and mystical symbols being perceived as dark powers by people of that era will add an incredible layer to the game. How Ubisoft balances this will be one of the key factors defining the tone. The protagonist at the center of the story remains a mystery. Ubisoft has yet to show a single silhouette or face, and that has only fueled speculation about the character's identity. According to some strong rumors, the main character could be a woman accused of witchcraft. This idea isn't just based on the symbols in the teaser. It's also reinforced by the fact that Hexe is the German word for witch. There's a high chance the player will control someone who is accused, at risk of torture, and ostracized from society. That implies something far greater than a typical assassin game. Hexe could flip the series' traditional power fantasy entirely by placing the player in the shoes of a powerless, vulnerable, and hunted character. That might be the single most important element elevating the game's tone to a whole new level. On the gameplay side, the most striking element is Ubisoft's conscious move away from the massive open-world RPG formula. This isn't just a stylistic change, it's a sign of a major strategic shift in the future of Assassin's Creed. Players have spent hundreds of hours in RPG-style experiences like Odyssey and Valhalla, but Hexe abandoning this approach entirely suggests Ubisoft is aiming for a more focused, intense, and condensed story. That style tends to work especially well in dark, tension-driven narratives. If Hexe really is linear or semi-linear, it could deliver a more impactful experience by maintaining the story's rhythm without letting it sprawl. In such a design, atmosphere, stealth, and the player's mental state come to the forefront. The fact that all this darkness is being crafted by a veteran team like Ubisoft Montreal naturally raises the bar even higher. The studio has experience with both large-scale RPGs and smaller, more focused games. But Clint Hawking's presence might be the single most critical element shaping the game's soul. Hawking is known for chaotic systems, worlds shaped by player choices, and experimental storytelling. The fire system in Far Cry 2, the recruit anyone mechanic in Legion, these radical ideas came from him. That makes it likely we'll see unconventional systems in Hexe as well. In a horror-themed AC, a systemic approach where villagers fall into paranoia, NPCs report you, and you either spread fear or blend in quietly, could give us one of the deepest games in the AC universe. The game's placement inside the Animus Hub also carries special importance. In its 2025 presentation, Ubisoft confirmed that Hexe will be the first major game added to the Animus Hub after Shadows. This means all AC games going forward will be connected through a central historical interface. That structure positions Hexe not just as a standalone project, but as a crucial transitional point for the future of the AC universe. Ubisoft's plan to continually improve the Animus Hub proves that Hexe will play a big role not only in terms of atmosphere, but also in terms of its place in the overall AC ecosystem. It may go down in history as a key title that sets the tone, scale, and narrative style for future AC games. How Hexe will blend horror elements into its gameplay is already a major topic of debate. Though Ubisoft hasn't officially confirmed anything, gaming press and reliable leakers claim that Hexe will move away from classic AC combat mechanics in favor of a more tactical, stealth-based, and psychological thriller structure. The AC formula usually empowers the player, encouraging them to take down large groups of enemies. In Hexe, that could be turned completely upside down. There is talk of mechanics where players use fear as a weapon, trigger panic in enemies, or even force witch hunters to confront their own terrors. A design like that would not only be a first for the series, but a bold and risky move even for Ubisoft. Analysis based on the teaser's symbols show that Hexe will be grounded not only in history, but also in cultural and mythological context. The explicit use of the name Mephisto proves that the game will be strongly tied to German mythology, demon legends, and post-Middle Ages spiritual fears. Again, in the Assassin's Creed universe, there are no literal devils or supernatural beings, but Isu artifacts, secret cults, and folktales about dark forces can all be used to layer meaning onto the story. If Ubisoft manages to balance this in a way that fits AC lore, Hexe could end up with one of the deepest and most symbolic narratives in the series. The game's potential story structure is another source of curiosity. One of the strongest current theories is that the main character is a woman accused of witchcraft, trying to uncover the political, religious, and social truths behind those accusations. That's not just a fan fantasy. Outlets like TechRadar, GamesRadar, and Bloomberg have gathered information pointing in this direction. During the witch trials, people didn't just face accusations of sorcery, they also confronted betrayal, fear, social pressure, and torture. If Ubisoft explores that era in depth, Hexe could become an AC game that forces players to confront not just enemies, but the darker side of human nature itself. At this point, Ubisoft's expanded production capacity, bolstered by new studios, and its partnership with Tencent comes into play. Assassin's Creed is no longer just a game series. It has grown into a much larger ecosystem for Ubisoft. The sub-studio established with Tencent will help develop new AC projects, and that increased capacity suggests Hexe could be a more ambitious, higher budget, and more expansive production. We still don't know exactly how this partnership will affect Hexe, but given Ubisoft's long-term plans to turn AC into a persistent platform, it's very likely Hexe will be at the center of that transformation. There is still major uncertainty around Hexe's release date. Ubisoft has not announced an official date, but both industry analysts and press outlets generally agree on a 2026 or 2027 launch window. One key point raised by GamesRadar is the GTA 6 factor. If Ubisoft wants Hexe to shine, it won't want to release it in that game's shadow. That makes a shift to 2027 more likely. At the same time, because Animus Hub is an evolving platform and new games need to be integrated into that system, it's clear Ubisoft doesn't want to rush Hexe. So even if the game is delayed, it wouldn't be wrong to say it's being done in the name of a better experience. Analysis of Hexe's potential gameplay mechanics suggest Ubisoft is trying something completely new. Traditionally, players in the series develop assassin abilities, collect armor, overpower enemies head-on, and freely explore open worlds. In Hexe, it's thought that this power fantasy will be completely shattered. Players may instead control a character being hunted by society, someone who must constantly stay on edge and avoid drawing attention. That makes stealth mechanics more critical than ever. Instead of direct confrontation, using environmental elements, creating distractions, spreading fear, or moving without leaving a trace could become core pillars of the game. Ubisoft altering the AC formula, this aggressively shows that it's essentially trying to reinvent the series for a second time. It's also highly likely that crowd psychology and paranoia will become game systems. During the German witch hunts, people believed even the smallest behavior could be tied to demonic influence. So in Hexe, NPC reactions to the player, suspicious crowds, villagers whispering, and fear of your presence spreading through the town could all be systemic elements. If Ubisoft successfully captures this psychological pressure, Hexe won't just be an AC game, it will drag players into a suffocating simulation of social paranoia. Clint Hawking's love for systemic design is a strong sign that ideas like this may actually appear in the final game. On the narrative side, it's expected that Hexe will tackle not only fear and oppression, but also the Assassin-Templar conflict from a new angle. In traditional AC titles, the Templar threat is usually expressed through political and military power. In Hexe, however, the Templars may be manipulating witch hunts, weaponizing public fear, and even presenting Isu relics as demonic forces. That approach could add significant political and religious depth to the story. A witch trial, a torture chamber, or a village court could feel more threatening than any battlefield we've seen in the series. This suggests Hexe will be as much a psychological and ideological conflict as it is an action game. The statement from Ubisoft Montreal that Hexe will leave a lasting mark on the series makes the entire picture even more exciting. As highlighted in Yara Tabara's LinkedIn post, Hexe is not just a new AC game, it's a turning point meant to shape the future of the franchise. These comments show how confident Ubisoft is in Hexe, and they underline that the game represents a major transformation not just in atmosphere, but also in mechanics, storytelling, and the overall structure of the series. The AC team talking this boldly is almost a guarantee that Hexe will be one of the boldest projects in Assassin's Creed history. Taken together, all this information shows that Hexe promises an experience drastically different from classic Assassin's Creed. A dark, symbolic, psychological, historically rich atmosphere, an uncertain protagonist, gameplay focused on survival and evasion rather than confrontation, an occult tone shaped by German mythology, and folk fears. If all of this comes together, Hexe could become the most striking step in Ubisoft's ongoing transformation of the AC brand. And if these expectations are met, it might become the series' boldest and most talked about game ever. It's also worth noting that Hexe's thematic approach won't just be about fear and darkness. It may also force players to confront real historical trauma. During the witch hunts, accusations were often made with no proof, based entirely on rumor. A neighbor's jealousy, a bad harvest, or a child's stray comment could lead to someone being tortured to death. If Ubisoft chooses to portray this era not just as a dark aesthetic, but as a study of social paranoia, fear production, and the ease with which justice can be twisted, Hexe could become more than an action game. It could serve as a mirror for human psychology and historical mistakes. Within that context, how the church, local courts, and political powers are depicted is another important question. During the witch trials, the church's authority was seen as absolute, and accusations of witchcraft were framed within a religious narrative, with trials presented as a holy duty. In the AC universe, church officials are often portrayed under Templar influence, so we can expect that manipulation to be more visible in Hexe. Templars using fear as a weapon, shaping laws that encourage witch hunts, and controlling information flow could significantly deepen the game's political dimension. That, in turn, offers players not just a personal escape story, but a struggle against the systemic nature of oppression. The expanding role of the Animus Hub also increases Hexe's importance. According to Ubisoft, all future AC games will be connected through this central system. That means Hexe may contain crucial information not just for its own narrative, but also for the coherence of the universe. Some mysteries solved here might shape the modern-day storyline or the direction of future games. Because the Animus Hub is Ubisoft's way of making the AC universe more cohesive, Hexe will be one of the key tests of that architecture. Its tone and structure being so different from previous entries will only enhance diversity within the hub and make the platform more interesting. Another major question is how the modern-day sections will be handled. For the last few entries, the series has pushed the modern storyline further into the background. But Hexe's multi-layered themes could give the modern segments a more meaningful role. Perhaps the fear of the witch hunts reappears in today's world in different forms. Perhaps the player controls someone investigating how past traumas still resonate in the present. Ubisoft hasn't said anything about this yet, but Hexe's strong symbolic storytelling makes it easy to imagine modern-day sections as a crucial part of the narrative. That would also be a welcome return for longtime fans who have missed a strong present-day arc. Finally, Ubisoft's extremely secretive marketing strategy for Hexe is itself a reflection of the game's style. So far, the studio hasn't shown a gameplay demo, a character silhouette, or even a single story scene. That's a first in AC history. The teaser alone has generated hundreds of thousands of fan theories, and Ubisoft seems to be deliberately keeping the mystery alive. The game staying in the shadows fits perfectly with its horror-adjacent nature, because the greatest power of fear is the unknown. With Hexe, Ubisoft may be trying to give players exactly that: darkness, uncertainty, and an atmosphere that keeps you on edge with every step. Putting together all these reports, leaks, and Ubisoft's official statements, It's clear that Hexe isn't just another title, it's a new identity experiment for the Assassin's Creed brand. Moving away from the open-world RPG formula it has relied on for years and embracing a completely new narrative structure shows that Ubisoft doesn't want to repeat itself. That makes Hexe a risk, but also a major opportunity for the future of the franchise. If Ubisoft manages to pull it off, Hexe may not just be remembered as the witch hunt game, but as the rebirth point of Assassin's Creed itself. However, for that transformation to succeed, the game's tone, mechanics, and atmosphere will all need to be delivered in near-perfect balance. The cast, characters, and main story flow are still a tightly guarded secret, but the way Ubisoft is hiding these details is actually part of a strong narrative strategy. During the witch hunts, people feared the unknown. Hexe may be designed to make players feel that same uncertainty. Not knowing who the character is, not being sure whether they're an assassin or simply a victim, this shows that even the marketing campaign is serving the game's core themes. Ubisoft is using this secrecy deliberately and has already pushed community curiosity to the maximum. This approach turns the time leading up to release into a kind of interactive mystery puzzle. Hexe's visual language is another major source of excitement. The dark forest, the symbol made of broken branches, the ominous dance over the flames, all of it suggests inspiration drawn from horror cinema. How Ubisoft Montreal brings that atmosphere to life will be critical. Foggy villages, empty streets, church courts, basement chambers, interrogation rooms, and whispers echoing through the night. If the climate, lighting, sound design, and environmental storytelling are executed well, Hexe has the potential to be the most atmospheric AC game ever made. And that atmosphere could make the game's mechanical challenges feel even more intense. Another critical point is that Hexe may bring back the stealth DNA the series has been missing for a long time. Mirage already took a first step in that direction, but Hexe looks set to take it much further. This time, stealth may not be a choice, it might be a necessity. A character under constant watch by witch hunters can't just stroll through the streets, jump into open combat, or draw attention without risking death. That's why Hexe may deliver gameplay where the player is always on edge, planning every move and carefully analyzing environmental threats. Such a system would stay true to the roots of Assassin's Creed while still creating a brand new experience. When you put all these updates together, the dark direction Assassin's Creed Hexe is taking, the growing uncertainty around where the next God of War is headed, and the final steps of the Final Fantasy VII Remake journey, one thing becomes clear: the gaming industry is going through a major shift right now. Big studios are taking bigger risks, telling heavier stories, and clearly trying to redefine what their franchises stand for. I'm really curious to hear what you think about this new direction, so make sure to share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more updates like this. I'll see you in the next one.